The figure of eight walk, or you could call it the eight path. I think I have found this to be beneficial, so I'll share it, and probably people already know it, or perhaps it's nonsense. It's just a feeling that I have. I find that following a walking path, a route that describes a figure of eight and doesn't cross upon itself, except at the intersection, that single intersection, is enhances power. It makes the walk more powerful and more beneficial. And I think that the crossing point is a power point. Now that's just hocus pocus. I understand that. If you were looking, I don't suppose there will be any science that would back it. I don't know. But this is my feeling. And of course, the trouble is that science really has lost its credibility in so many areas because it's just so packed with lies and deception. So the whole concept of spiritual energy having any scientific basis is clearly it can't be discerned in scientific terms, because to approach it in scientific terms would be almost begging the question. I suppose you could say it's trying to validate the Bible by in terms of faith. It can be accused. People who do that can be accused of begging the question. They often are. Proof of the Bible. I think the Bible can be proved, but in different ways. But of course, it can't be proved to a skeptical inquirer, because otherwise they would be ashamed and they would all turn to the throne of the living God. But it's not to be for the time being. But in the meantime, we can enjoy ourselves. And one thing that I'm realizing is that many of our actions and inactions are simply based on knowledge or ignorance. And it is unfortunate that we confuse those things. We confuse ignorance in particular with sin and make a moral issue of it. Because morality is a very touchy subject, of course. So I ran into an acquaintance on the walk, and she's an elderly lady, and she had come to the village to purchase her pharmaceutical products. She was going to the chemist for her medicines, she told me. And I reflected on how many elderly people, people of all ages really, but particularly the elderly, flock to the chemist to pick up their prescription on a regular basis. And it's an important point of their life. Or they crowd into the health clinic to take any vaccination that's recommended, or to see their GP, which apparently is almost impossible these days. And I was comparing that. There is a church on the other side of the road, and it's not a church that I would particularly, endorse, but I won't endorse any church if it comes to that. So it is. And I was thinking how few people comparatively, go to the church compared to those who go to the health clinic. And so which of the two is the temple? Where do people go to seek the water of life? They don't go into the church. They go to the clinic, of course. And it's not that they're evil people by any means. But I do believe that they are ignorant. I think the Bible says, "My people perish through lack of knowledge," or something very close to that. And knowledge is a very powerful thing to have. And that somebody, you see, since we've had the internet and we've been able to research these things, I know that many of my brothers and sisters are avid truth seekers, particularly in the matter of health, because health is something which affects us all. And especially my Bible reading friends. But one doesn't have to be a Bible reader to understand that our health is being manipulated for financial gain and is being managed by people who just really don't know. Again, they are the blind leading the blind. This morning I finally found a dentist online who was explaining something about the nature of tooth decay and how it occurs, and oral hygiene, and the impact it has on the whole body, and explaining also that dentists are unaware of these things because it's quite new research, and it depends if the dentist is already qualified. He or she might be not persuaded to follow that line of inquiry. So really, we do have a personal responsibility to find the truth in certain matters. In the matter of dentistry, of course, as I've mentioned before, and I'm sure other people will know this, one of the most deleterious things that we can do to ourselves is to brush our teeth with toothpaste. Not simply because of the fluoride, but because of its effect of destroying the bacterial balance in the mouth, and then perpetuating that a negative effect through the gut. And it has massive ramifications on our overall health. So, some people will know, others maybe not, but the way to look after our teeth is with oil. It can be as simple as coconut oil, gentle brushing and massaging around the gums, and flushing the mouth, as in the case of oil pulling. But it can very usefully be augmented by adding herbs such as cloves and oregano and frankincense oil and myrrh oil, and particularly comfrey oil, because comfrey has great healing and restorative effects. And then peppermint oil and spearmint oil and other sundry matters. Tea tree oil, of course, is very good for keeping things clean. And massaging those oils around the gums will have a massive effect on not just the health of the mouth and the gums and the teeth, but on the whole body. And yet, medical opinion is that we should brush our teeth with toothpaste probably 3 times a day, and use floss and all these harmful practices and descaling and all this stuff, when that's not the natural and healthy way to look after our health, our bodies. So it's ignorance, you see, and this is the part of the teaching of sorcery. I keep calling it sorcery, seeing, I should probably start calling it. The path of knowledge that's described by Don Juan. Morality doesn't really play a major role at all. It's not mentioned, but there are choices and there are consequences, and there are those who walk in ignorance because they don't see, and many people just don't see, and so they are completely obsessed with their self-importance, and even in a minor way, but they have confused the spirit with the body almost, and so they lack understanding, and that's the problem. It's stupidity, really. I'm sorry to say, rather than sin in many of these cases. Sin is a delicate matter, you see. Really, it's not for us to say this or that is a sin. This is in the hand of God. We are instructed to remove the beam from our eye before we attempt to remove the mote from our brother's eye. But in the matter of understanding, I mean, it's just a question. There's no moral superiority to knowing that it's better to clean your teeth with oil at all. I mean, it's not a question of that. It's just a question of having spent some time looking into it. And it's something that people have to do, I think, individually, because, I have no authority to say these things. I have no authority to say that you should walk in a figure of 8. And I'm sure nobody will take it from me. But this is the important matter. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Well, a fool is a word that can be interpreted in many ways, but certainly, just that curiosity makes so much difference. And some people just seem, I think a lot of people, their ears are stopped and their eyes are blinded because they won't hear any kind of suggestion or recommendation. And I'm very much the other way. If somebody makes a recommendation for improved health, I always listen to what they're saying very carefully. I might not ultimately accept it, but that's no reason not to listen and not to pay attention to what one is being told, surely. God bless everyone this morning.